Hello, everyone. I am honored and excited to welcome today's Britt Happens podcast guest, Mayor Francis Suarez, who is the mayor of my great city of Miami, one of the most magical and dynamic places on the planet, if you ask me. Welcome, Mayor.
No doubt about it.
How are you?
Thanks for having me. That's great. I'm great. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's wonderful.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. Well, our city loves the Suarez brand.
Yes.
And your dad was a pioneer. He was the first Cuban-born mayor and a big proponent of diversity. And now there's a second generation. You're the first Miami-born mayor and wildly popular.
Thank you.
So what vision do you have to make life more enjoyable here in Miami?
Miami is such a great city. It has so much to offer. Obviously, before this crisis, we were doing so well. My first couple of years as mayor, we grew 8.5% my first year, 10.5% my second year, really differentiating ourselves in sports and culture and creating the kind of city that was diverse in terms of its people, but also diverse in terms of its economy. Trying to get a greater and greater foothold into the tech ecosystem. And I think that's something we're gonna have to continue. Obviously we have some advantages. We have wonderful weather. Again, we have great people and we have a great mix of cultures. And I think that is something that's a strength of ours that we have to continue to really showcase. But the city is doing so well and all we gotta do is sort of get back on track.
Right. Absolutely. Which brings me to in early March, you were one of the first people and public figures to test positive for COVID-19. And I think it was a brilliant move of transparency and leadership for you to start your online journey with your digital journal. So how has that experience helped you to manage the pandemic here in our city?
I think it's helped in a variety of different ways. I think the first is I realized that I was an asymptomatic carrier. Had I not been in the room with someone who had said publicly that they were positive, I would maybe never have gotten tested. And so that sort of shaped a little bit of my public policy on it. I think we also were very proactive at the beginning to cancel large events like Ultra and 8th Street, and that sort of set the tone for how the city was going to deal with this pandemic. And we probably saved a bunch of lives because of that decision. And so, we've worked to try to conservatively come up with a plan to open safely in our city, even though there's a lot of pressure from people to get out and to sort of burst.
Right.
I totally understand. But we want to make sure we do it safely.
Right, which brings me to a lot of people dub Miami as the playground of the USA. So living in paradise, it's very tempting and challenging to keep residents sheltered and safe. I love the Stand Up Miami campaign. So, and you post periodic updates online, which I love as well. So where are we now in terms of opening up the city?
We're getting there. We're getting close. We are having epidemiologists and biostatisticians analyze our data from new cases. We feel good about where we're at from a hospitalization perspective. And then that's the basic criteria that we have to look at to determine when we're in phase one. We hope to make an announcement soon based on that information that will, allow us to start opening up parks and things where people can enjoy so long as they maintain respectful social distancing. So it's difficult because what we see happening across the country is when we give people what they're entitled to, which is their freedom. Unfortunately, we see a lot of irresponsible behavior, and then we kind of have to start undoing some of that because of its health risk. So
right.
We'll see.
Right, a balance between people's, anxious nature and their safety.
Sure.
How has working from home influenced the future of infrastructure and building and development, do you think?
I think it's going to transform so many things. I call it the Uber effect. When Uber was created, people didn't realize that it was going to have a lot of secondary effects that were not related to the technology itself, like 50% reduction in DUIs. They didn't create Uber to solve the DUI issue, right? But it was created to create this platform and have this secondary effect. The same thing with this pandemic. I would say before this pandemic, maybe 10% of the people knew what Zoom was.
Mhm.
Now probably 90% of people know what Zoom is
Right.
and Skype. And so, this new world that we live in, which is virtual, but that it allows you, and I kind of showed it to you before we recorded, I'll show it to you now. It allows you to be in your office,
Right.
while at the same time, actually being in your laundry closet, right? So it looks very official. I look very official. But the truth is that I'm actually at home, and it's wonderful because I can do a podcast like this, reach so many different people, hit the end button, and either go on to another Zoom meeting with 20 mayors from across the country, or walk out and give my daughter a hug or my son a hug, who is homeschooling right now, obviously. So it's just a wonderful opportunity to really be close to your family, which is, in my line of work, it's unusual.
Absolutely. Okay. What are the effects on property values and sales tax, as these are the main revenue sources for the city?
Sales tax is the one that's the biggest impact, because that is it's a consumer based tax. So obviously, if people are not consuming as much because they're not out as much,
Right.
that tax is impacted. Property taxes are annual, and we had collected a lot of our property taxes before the pandemic began. This could affect values, which could affect next year's property taxes. But our values are set as of January 1st. So the values for this next fiscal year are already set.
Mhm.
So that's helpful. But obviously the financial condition of people's ability to pay also impacts our budget.
Right.
So we are being very proactive to make sure that we can avoid, hopefully, having to make dramatic cuts of our, particularly first responders, who are on the front lines right now fighting to keep us safe.
Yes, and you have the firefighter representation.
That's right. Yesterday was firefighter day, so I got to represent.
My dad is an avid cyclist, and road racing or biking is extremely popular here in South Florida. So I was curious, do you foresee promoting cycling races in Miami, because they're extremely popular, for example, in New York and California?
Yeah, I think we have to really maximize the outdoors for us. I'm an avid, I work out tremendously, every day. I do CrossFit. That's what I like to do. But, it's wonderful to be outside and to get that vitamin D, the sun, to be able to get the endorphins from running and from exercising and from biking. So I definitely think that, that our biking community and our running community should be a community that we protect and that we try to enhance as much as possible.
Okay. And all right. So in order for our city to truly be a world-class metropolis, and this is a topic that's been brought up time and time again, we need to be more efficient in terms of transporting our residents and our visitors. So in light of COVID-19, can you update us on where we are on the transportation and smart plan?
Not as far as I like, but I will say this, again, sometimes I say that government sometimes will wait too long and an idea could become obsolete. I'll tell you what, if we change forever and are more virtual, because my office right now is, like I said, I can see yours as your sort of your living room, mine is mine. If this change takes effect, I can tell you that, we may not need mass transit, because a lot less people are going to be driving. A lot more people are going to be working from home. And, we're going to have we're going to have far less people on the roads. Right. So, it's interesting. Again, this pandemic and this technology combined could solve a problem that is unrelated to either thing. I mean, traffic and pandemics don't usually go hand in hand, and technology and traffic don't necessarily go hand in hand, but when you combine, you have to have this pandemic where people now are forced to work from home. They start working from home, they're like, wait a second, this actually makes a lot of sense. I mean, this is really efficient. I can be pretty much anywhere instantly in person. So it takes, it's not so impersonal.
Right.
And, I don't need to use my car. I mean, I saved a lot of money on gas, and, I'm not polluting the environment, and I just don't need to. And so then all of a sudden, I can envision a day where this is not the first time I say it, so hopefully somebody will remember it. Our highways end up becoming parks because we don't need to use them. You know what I mean? And it's similar to the Highline type of concept, where at some point, if we don't need our super highways, you know, we're going to want to do something with them. And there's a lot of space, and there's, you know, contiguous space. So you can make them into huge parks and ball fields and, you know, soccer fields and baseball fields, and, you know, solve all the need for fields that we could possibly have.
Right. It's another silver lining that we weren't anticipating, like you said, the Uber effect. So this
Absolutely.
really forces people to focus on what's essential and what's not and more efficient.
Absolutely.
Okay. Miami-Dade County is the 7th largest county in the entire United States. And your dad is running for mayor of this amazing and large county.
Yeah.
What can we expect from this dynamic duo? I call it the Suarez squared.
So that's cool. So what we expect would be us getting along, which we do. We would expect, you know, us to work together. We agree on a lot of things, not everything, but a lot of things. I think we bring a different approach, different style. You know, I have a little bit more of Mom's personality, but that doesn't mean anything. It just means that, you know, we kind of approach things sometimes different. Sometimes I feel like I should be more like him, and I think sometimes he feels like he should be more like me. But I really think that it would be something incredibly beneficial for the county, because we have such a good relationship. And it's obviously something where, you know, he has a tremendous career, both as a city mayor and as a county commissioner. So he has a great resume, and obviously his academic credentials. But what he's accomplished as a public official, I think he would do a wonderful job.
I would love to see more of that dynamic duo. So
very cool.
And Mayor Suarez, what would you like to leave as your legacy?
Wow, that's a great question. I don't think about it that much because I'm only in my third year. So I try not to think about legacy, because legacy implies an end, right? But, you know, I hope that people remember me as someone who was visionary, who was ethical, who was transparent. I hope that they see me as someone who worked hard, who really cared, and who really sort of changed the needle on a lot of major issues, such as, you know, income inequality, homelessness, you know, technology and culture in our community, in our city. And I really would love to be remembered as a great mayor. I mean, I don't think there's anybody that does this position that doesn't want later on to be remembered as someone who did it well. And that's all you can ask for.
I love it. Okay, these are the last 3 questions, and they'll be really quick. So I call this the fire round. So I'll ask a simple question, and you just have to spit out the first thing that comes to mind. What was the last thing that you ordered on Amazon?
Last thing I ordered on Amazon was vitamin C, emergency C.
Okay. Oh, the powder, right?
Yeah, the powder.
All right, I like to mix that.
Yeah.
What's your favorite word?
My favorite word is ubiquitous.
Ooh, okay. SAT.
It means being everywhere. It means being everywhere at the same time.
Okay, right. You can do that now with those backgrounds.
You can.
All right. What would you attempt to do if you knew that you had a 100% chance of succeeding?
Run for president.
Woo! Hey, okay. All right, and lastly, how can people find you online and get in contact with you?
So my Twitter handle is @FrancisXSuarez, and my my apologies. My Twitter handle is @FrancisSuarez. My Instagram handle is @FrancisXSuarez. So you know, we have a good following on both. We have like 26,000 followers on Twitter and about 62,000 on Instagram. So I'm very, very grateful to those who follow and who, you know, keep up with the city on those platforms, because they're wonderful. You know, you can post things for free and a bunch of people find out about it. You get a lot of engagement. A lot of my videos, like you said, whether they were the diary entries or just videos that we put on opening my end, have gotten 50, 60, 70,000 views. So, you know, we're very grateful for those who take the time to engage with me.
Right. Everyone does love you, Francis. I'm not just saying this. I have friends from school in Philadelphia, New York, my brother in Houston. You've become like the Corona caveman, like with the.
I'm friends with the mayors of all those cities. They're great, great people, and I love those guys. So, you know, thank you. I appreciate that. It means the world to me.
Yes, it's very sincere. Thank you again, Mayor Suarez. This was awesome. I really appreciate it, and hopefully we can reconnect post Corona.
God bless you.
Okay, God bless. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.